r2tv.square.
The content, information, and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Beyond the Veil. A journey into your unknown. With your hosts, Michelle and Christa. We're going to cover topics like spirituality, energy, alignment, duality, consciousness, connection, metaphysics, chaos, and so much more. Are you ready? Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Veil. I am Christa.
And I am Michelle.
And we are getting started today with our first episode. We thought it would be a good idea to start by introducing ourselves. So, Michelle, why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Thank you, Christa. I am Michelle Barone, and I am with Moksha Grace Coaching. But more importantly, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am a daughter, I am a friend. And because of my spiritual journey, I am a pretty cool human being. And that's why we're here, is to talk with you about expanding your perspectives and looking within. How about you, Christa?
My name's Christa, clearly. And I am, I'll say, a student of the universe, a lifelong learner. As a child, I had what's called neuroblastoma, which was a childhood cancer, which set me very early on a path of health, wellness, spirituality, you name it. That was my jam. It is my jam. And so we thought it was a great idea to have conversations about these things that are starting to really become popular, and have conversations that maybe some of them will be controversial, or some of them may be out there, or some of them may just be downright interesting. But we wanted to bring some focus to these topics that are so incredibly important as you're going along your spiritual journey. And we started along our journey back when I was going through treatment. Over the course of the years after that, there's all these beautiful things that happen, additional health things that come up, and being so close to almost losing my life and you almost losing your daughter.
Yes.
It puts a lot of things in perspective and forces you to look at a lot of things in your life and how life works and how the universe works. And with a 3% chance of survival,
yep.
How the heck am I still here? What is the reason that I'm here? Which really takes us to Beyond the Veil.
Well, before we really dive in, I want to make sure that we put out a, somewhat of a statement that our opinions, our perspectives are our own. And we're not masters, experts by any means, but we can absolutely help guide you through different situations, different, explorations. But please, whatever resonates with you, you take with you, and whatever doesn't, you can just leave right on the table. So yeah, the journey into what Christa went through, and obviously as a mom looking and going, why? What happened? Why my daughter? Why did we have to go through that? And we've come to some interesting conclusions about that.
Well, one of which is when you have all of these things happen after you've been through something like cancer, you have, different health things that come up over the years, and at some point you start to ask yourself, okay, what is going on here? Maybe the same thing keeps happening over and over again. I noticed for me, I sprained my left ankle like 6 months ago. I then, had some other injury on my left side, and so it makes me question, what does the left side represent? Makes me go a little deeper. Well, then we can look into, there's feminine versus masculine, the divine feminine versus the divine masculine. And it's interesting when you start getting into these alternative theories of medicine and metaphysics and what those kind of things can represent. Have you had those experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, just for perspective, when we talk about the masculine and the feminine energies, we're not talking about genders. We're not, that's not where we're going with this. It's all about energy. And so whether you're a female, a male, however you identify, you still have a feminine and a masculine energy within. And when you're not balanced, that's when things feel off. And so the left side, the right side all represent, one's the masculine, one's the feminine. And here's the real interesting piece is that it's not always the same for everybody. And so you have to figure that out for yourself. What are some, before we get into the actual signs, medically and physically and spiritually, what are some of the signs that we're off masculine-wise?
Rephrase your question.
The masculine is very prominent when we're acting in which ways?
Oh, I understand now. Okay. Yeah, so, and this goes to, so the masculine is typically the side of you that wants to take care of things, wants to be in charge, wants to take control, plan things out. That tends to be my more dominant side. And so having, a sprained ankle on the left side and, getting a cut or an injury constantly on the left side actually is feminine. And so that would indicate that maybe there's some imbalance. Maybe I need to tap more into the divine feminine side. Same thing on the right side, which would represent the masculine. But the feminine would be more of the nurturing, the caring for, the self-care.
The creativity.
The intuition. And so when you start having things happening on the right side, you can ask yourself, well, what can I do to tap into the opposite, which is how can I maybe take a little bit more control of things, plan things out a little bit better. Maybe that's as simple for some people as like making a to-do list, which is planning out your day.
Or taking a bubble bath if you need to tap into your feminine.
Exactly. And so for me, that focus then becomes figuring out which side is out of balance and how do I correct that.
And so we've kind of dived into looking at what we feel physically, then comes in internally, and not internally like your internal organs, but your inner self, your inner spirit, your inner soul, whatever it is that you want to call that for yourself. But looking in and tapping into that then is going to give you some hints as to what you can do to process so that you don't have the physical ailments anymore. So we were reading the other day, when you're off, meaning that you trip or you stub your toe or you drop things a lot, that is a sign that you need to go outside and you need to ground.
Yeah.
You need to go outside and you need to be in nature. You need to, take your shoes off and just ground yourself. What are some other aha about this for you that you've figured out for yourself?
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention was that it's not always physical either. The divine masculine and feminine kind of balance can show up in a lot of different ways. Maybe you're in a creative field that requires you to be in the flow all the time, but then you need to figure out ways to also incorporate that structure in your life so that you can stay balanced, that's the right balance for you. Same thing goes, I'm an operations consultant, so I spend most of my days in a very masculine-ish energy because I'm constantly planning, setting things up, structuring systems. And so my free time, I need to make sure I'm doing those creative things. I need to make sure that I'm meditating and I'm journaling and painting and things to tap into that divine feminine so that way I can stay balanced. Because when we are balanced, we're in harmony. I know balance isn't exactly your favorite word. Harmony is more along the lines of what you like to use. But either way, harmony, balance, whatever is your flavor of that concept, that's really the sweet spot. That's where we want to be.
And through the years, what we've learned is that when we are in harmony, and the reason I don't like balance versus harmony is because when you're balanced, you're not moving. It's stagnant. And so that to me kind of represents a bit of death and not moving and being stuck, and so that's not where you want to be. So I like to say that you ebb and flow, you're harmonizing, and so Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. And so when you, oh, I know. And when you are in harmony, then that's when you can manifest. That's when you can attract everything that you want to you, that you're looking for as far as achieving in your life, experiencing, feeling. So that's what, is so important.
Yeah, and I think this is so much bigger even than we're talking about right now. We're talking about it on a very individual level. But when you really start diving into the divine feminine and masculine, you realize how much of that is playing a part in what's happening in our world today. And actually, we were having a conversation about this the other day of right now we're in a society that's very confused and misled about what divine feminine and masculine is. And I think we almost have gone so far to the divine feminine side that now we're a little bit out of balance because we're missing some of that structure. We're missing some of that take charge and take care. And I've been noticing a little bit of an upward tick in a lot of the movies and TV shows that are coming out of these characters that people are being drawn to. Are these characters that are strong and powerful and they get stuff done and they take control, whether they're strong female characters or strong male characters, either way, there seems to be this craving for the divine masculine. Very different than toxic masculinity and all those other things. But it's very interesting to watch our culture and how it shifts and ebbs and flows, and how those things come up in everything we do.
Yeah. And it's been so interesting on our journey because we've been doing this for years, looking at why things happen and where are we going to go from here, what's coming of it, what lessons did these experiences teach us, and allowing ourselves to let go. Right, let go of the resentment or the anger or feeling guilty. And as a mom, for me as a mom, it was really challenging because I had, I have another child at home that's obviously they're not children anymore, but and it caused some imbalance just in the family dynamics. And so it was, figuring that out as a mom and understanding that everybody is different. We were talking about this earlier, that even though we're all in the same household, we have very different experiences from the last 20 years. What do you think has been a big moment for you to show the differences, like as far as perspectives, different perspectives between you and maybe your brother and, the household?
I think it's just noticing how different we are and the different things that we require to, let's just say, stay at neutral, because we never want to be super high or super low. That's when maybe you need to take a look at some things that are going on. We want to try to stay as you don't want to be in a roller coaster. You want to be somewhat consistent. And I think it was just realizing the different things that we need. I'm more of the structured person. I need time by myself, whereas you, and I love my brother, but I'm going to talk about you because it's a better contrast. You are much more flow. Your flow, your creativity, your intuition, where I'm much more structure and analytics and data and following things.
Hence why you do so well in your consulting and operations and why I'm a life coach.
Right, but that was very interesting growing up because as close as we are, it created a little bit of confusion for you in trying to parent me, and me having very clear understanding of who I am and what I need from a very early age. But it also set us on a path of being able to have really interesting, in-depth conversations that allow us to continue to have a great relationship and expand our knowledge together versus having to go separate ways.
Yeah. And one of the biggest conversations I remember us having is when you came home one day from school. You had just started high school, and Christa just decided, I'm not doing traditional high school anymore. I'm done. And I, as a parent, had to take a step back and realize that this isn't my life. This isn't my high school experience. My high school experience was very different. And I had to check in with myself and allow Christa to create her high school experience for her. Now, Christa's 27 now, so obviously it went very, very well. But if I had not been that parent, if I had said, no, you're going to do this anyway, and I think a lot of parents do that because they want their kids, they're fearful. And fear can just ruin a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so when they say that fear is what you should fear the most, it's fear. And instead of that, I sat back, listened to this very wise young woman explain to me how she was different and needed something different. And by allowing her to find her own way, then it just allowed her to be successful.
Yeah.
I came to grips and managed my own feelings and took responsibility for that. And so, parents that are out there, that when your kids come in and they say that they're just not fitting in, that's the time for you to dive in and figure out, what exactly is going on.
Yeah.
And is it something that you can help bring out the best of them and support them to be the best of them?
Well, not only in they're not fitting in, but really in any conversation. I think we're on a totally different topic than divine feminine and masculine, but I think it's an important one is, that was a really wonderful outcome of that whole situation back when I was in high school that may not have gone that way for a lot of people because, we are so different, and you could have just said right off the bat, no, you're staying in high school, you're going to keep going, you're going to go to all the dances and the activities and do all these things. But you took the time to acknowledge that we're different and have that conversation and not just write it off to being, oh, you're just a young, teenager, you don't know what you need, but really acknowledging that, okay, this is a person who has thoughts and feelings, and maybe I should sit down and listen to those thoughts and feelings and see, does this make sense? Is there something we can do about this? And I think that created a really open floor of communication for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that goes for, not just not fitting in, but anything. Kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Teenagers are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. And having those open conversations can really go a long way in your relationship with them, their relationship with you, how they grow up. I mean, I'm 27 and my parents are some of my best friends. That's really rare for someone to say that. And we get looks all the time of like, you're like, what? This is crazy because people have a hard time believing that we're as close as we are, but that's because we set a precedence very early on that we're going to have an open floor of communication. We're gonna explore these interesting topics together, and we've done that over the years, and it's something that a lot of people get really inspired by because it's hard to come by.
Well, and I think that because we're close and connected like that, we're able to also bring out the genius in each of us.
Absolutely.
So I know what Christa is really good at, and she knows what I'm really good at, and sometimes we try to, go back and forth, but when we get in the zone, and it's happened over and over again where we happen to be working together over and over again, hence here, and it's been so fun, but it's like we're connected from more than just mother-daughter. What do you think about?
Well, I mean, if we just look at the astrology, I mean, we're complete opposites, but in the same way, that puts us in the same bucket. You're an Aries, I'm a Libra, but connected. The rest of our astrology it indicates that we have bonds with each other. We've done past life regressions and all sorts of things that indicate that we've had many lifetimes together. So that certainly helps.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that everyone else can't have these open, wonderful conversations with their kids and great relationships with their kids either.
And even when you don't agree with your kids, even if you don't see their perspective, right? Because generationally, we're definitely off, and we could, have completely different beliefs, and we have, and we've worked through them. but being open allows you to see different perspectives and allow your mind to expand.
And I think that brings up a really great topic too, because it seems like right now we're in a very interesting place in the world where having different opinions means that somehow you're enemies. And I think that's part of why I was really motivated to do this show, because I wanted to show, there's going to be things that we talk about that we do not see eye to eye on, but we're able to have that conversation and still be great friends and mother and daughter. You're
still
able
live
to
under the same house.
and still live under the same roof. But you can have differing opinions and have those conversations, and it does not mean that you're at war with each other. It does not mean that that person is any less than you are, or you're whatever more than them. I think it's just, it creates a really interesting situation.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you all would agree that we could go on for hours and hours, but we are coming to the end of our time with you. We have 5 minutes? Okay,
Oh,
so
fantastic.
we have 5 more minutes. What I was thinking was, as far as the masculine, the feminine, we've talked about so much. We've talked about the masculine and feminine. We've talked about astrology. We've talked about past lives a little bit. There's so much more for us to dive deeper into.
Have you talked about Moksha Grace and consulting?
No,
Great question.
but
Great
thank
point.
you very much for that. So the whole reason that we're here is because we came here to first talk about our businesses, and then we kind of fell into, wow, this is a great conversation. So going back to that is, so I'm a life coach, professional life coach, and basically I help people dive into what is holding them back. Why can they not find the calm in the chaos of their life? And guess what, people? Chaos is not going anywhere. Chaos is here to stay, as we've all learned over the last 3 years. But how can you be the calm in your life so that you can be a better parent, a better friend, be a better employee, make more money, everything?
Be happier.
But be
feel
happier,
better.
but it all comes down to what's going on internally that allows you to have this chaos around you. And so that's what I do. So to find out more about me and what I do, you can go to mokshagrace.com. I'm actually going to be doing next week, a week from tomorrow, I'm doing a 3-day workshop that we are going to dive in to all of this. So it's Calm the Chaos, mokshagrace.com/workshop, and you can register, and it's a free workshop. Krista, what are you doing these days?
Hold on, because I want to circle back to that real quick. It's a free introductory workshop, and it's really wonderful. I've attended it myself, and also you've basically been my coach for my entire life, so I can tell you firsthand that you really helped me identify some really pivotal things and change a lot of perspectives. So that's been invaluable in my life. But yeah, so if you happen to have a small business, or you're a coach, or you're really anything, and you need some operational help, you can find me at wickedwisdomconsulting.com. I basically help businesses scale or just optimize their operations department. So, I mean, check out the website. It gives you a ton of details, but basically I help people like Michelle get their business to where it is and running smoothly, so that you can focus on taking care of your clients and your customers and not have to worry about systems.
So we are looking forward to more conversations, going farther and diving deeper into these topics. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully weekly.
Yeah, and hopefully next week at the Calm the Chaos Path to Emotional Freedom workshop that Michelle is hosting at mokshagrace.com/workshop again.
You are excellent at operations and keeping me on point.
It's like I have a mind for analytics and control and putting plans together or something. It's really crazy.
It is just absolutely amazing. It's like we've known each other for past lives.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it has been wonderful chatting with you, and I look
Thank you.
forward to doing it more.
Yes, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you next time, and for now, just keep diving in, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Beyond the Veil, a journey into your unknown. We hope you continue to dive in with us. But until next time,